the burn boss for this prescribed fire today, July 19th actually, and we're at about noon right now, and we've burned 2 of our 3 units. At this time we're getting close to being outside of our prescription. Like I described before, we set our own rules and goals, and those have been approved through other agencies, and so the temperature, humidity, and the winds are just reaching the point where we can't really finish our 3rd unit. We've accomplished, as you could see with the video, of what our goals were, reducing our fuel loading and getting rid of invasive species, to give native species more of a chance to get revived here. And we've reduced the fuel loading around 2 different homes that have had to experience fire in the last couple of years. So we've accomplished what our objectives were, and so far things look really, really good.
Is this the first prescribed fire you were able to have in July?
For me as a burn boss, it is, yeah. I know that CAL FIRE's done prescribed fires as late as last week over around Reading. It's not unusual to do fall burns this time of year, but I think something to throw in the mix too is just the way people look at this is that when we go to a major fire, when we go to a major fire and it's an emergency, a lot of times we use fire just like this to stop the fire front from hitting homes or subdivisions and stuff like that. So we use drip torches a lot to work on a major wildland fire. So what these people experienced today was to get them a lot more confident in how the fire works when it's hot and dry like this, and they've honed their skills quite a bit with their firing techniques, and we use it as a teaching tool as well. So and again, I'd like to say the local Native Americans were able to participate today. They'll start working doing more cultural burning, and we're really excited to be able to work with them as well.
Okay. Ready, set, go.
Awesome. Hey, good afternoon. My name is Fire Chief Nick Baker with Shelter Cove Fire. We're out here at the Studebaker burn in Briceland. It's a prescribed burn. We're trying to reduce the hazardous fuels around properties and get some training for our local volunteers.
You know, why is prescribed fire important to Shelter Cove volunteers?
Right now, a lot of it's our training. So Shelter Cove is one of those areas that has a lot of houses for the acreage that's out there. So we don't have a lot of room to burn. So we're getting some training with our volunteers. We brought an engine out, and hopefully that we can bring prescribed burn to the actual community in the future and reduce our fuel since it is such a hazard out in Shelter Cove.
You know, some folks might be wondering, you know, you guys are firefighters, right? So why are you adding fire to the ground?
It's actually a tactic we use a lot, both for prescribed burns and for actual firefighting on these larger fires. So we're able to put a lot larger black line and reduce the fuel that the fire could potentially burn. Just below us, there was a residence, and we were able to move that hazardous dry grass and fuel, you know, back 800 feet from the residence, and that will not reburn all the way through next spring. So.
You know, and is this like a cooperation, collaboration between the Lost Coast Task Force? If you could remind folks like what that is and its purpose.
Yeah, so the Lost Coast Task Force was really just a organization of local fire departments to help backfill when CAL FIRE is drawn down with fires across the state. Humboldt County isn't going to be a high priority just because of the lack of population that we have up here. So if the choice between sending resources to areas like Santa Rosa and southern Humboldt, the state has to pick Santa Rosa because of the population and the potential down there. So we backfill, we train all of our volunteers to the same standards as any other agencies in California, and we keep our resources ready. So if we need to send out engines, we can send them out in an organized manner, and they all have the same training.
Anything else the public should know?
No, just that it was a success. Nobody got hurt. No, we didn't lose any extra acreage or anything like that. And the training benefits from a controlled burn like this and having the resources that we have out here, you can't find them anywhere else. So to be able to burn with drip grass that's actually dry and representative of what we're going to see during the summer, it's an ability that a lot of guys will never see until a real fire. So if we can train them before a fire comes through, that's all the better.
Hi, my name is Aurora Studebaker, Chief of the Briceland Volunteer Fire Department, and also one of the landowners of one of the units that we burned today.
You know, earlier there was fire maybe like 5 feet from your house, and you were cool, calm, and collected. If you could just kind of talk about today's operation and why you're so comfortable with applying fire right next to your residence.
Absolutely. Today I was in the holding position, so I had the resources working for me to hold the fire. And really the only way we would do this right now with the dry grass and the time of year that it is to have the resources in place and to have the weather conditions that allow for us to safely complete this operation. And you know, we had fire engines from Telegraph Ridge, Shelter Cove, you know, Briceland resources at scene, and as well as CAL FIRE standing by. So having all the resources at scene makes it extremely safe, and then having contingency plans for if something doesn't go exactly as planned. So we have all those in place, and then also having people like Diana Totten as burn boss watching, and her experience of so many years in the fire service, and really being able to read how the fire's doing and if it's a safe operation, and or if we need to put it out. And it went really smoothly.
You know, last summer there was a fire started on the road and a medical incident. Can you just speak to how this will actually keep this property, you know, make this property safer?
Absolutely. You know, during the summer as a fire chief, I end up responding to the incidents, or responding to fires, and I'm likely not going to be available to respond to my own home should something happen. I'm probably going to be out you know, either fighting fire somewhere else, and so having that buffer from the road, several fires have started, like you said, from the road, and having that ability to know that the house is safe and I can go protect other people's structures and do what I need to do is a huge benefit. And also we had a rattlesnake bite at our house last year, and so one benefit of reducing the grass, eliminating the grass helps eliminate rodents, which can help push the snakes back away from the residents.
And as Southern Humboldt's only female fire chief, you know, how does it feel to see more and more women become a part of volunteer fire departments? I mean, each department has at least one female volunteer.
Yeah, it's really great. I'm super proud of all the women that we have working in the fire service here. Briceland Fire has several very competent, capable women, and it feels really good. And collaborating with other fire departments and the women on those fire departments, you know, it's really encouraging and awesome to see.
Anything else people should know?
I would just say thanks for trusting us to do these operations, and trusting us that we're making the right decisions, and keeping the community safe is our goal, and that's what we do. And so, you know, thank you to everybody that supports us, and thanks for coming out.
Hi, I'm Jordan Anderson, and I work for Mattole Restoration Council, although I'm out here just as a volunteer today.
And what was your role on today's prescribed burn?
I was observing weather and serving as a lookout.
You know, what were some of the observations you took today?
The biggest one is just simply that it's July, but conditions are just fine to do this prescribed burn. Wind started to pick up around 11:30 noon, getting ready to spin weather again.
And are you gonna, you know, take some of what you learned today back to the Mattole?
Absolutely. I'm actually running a little internship program for some high school students, and I kind of ditched them for the day, so now I have some talking points to come back to. It's for environmental service.
Awesome. Anything else people should know?
Nope.
Okay. I'm Ernest Lincoln. I just played the firing crew, I guess, or the firing squad, I think it's called. And we just watched the fire on the sidelines, kind of let it get down to certain levels, and then kept it going, and then make sure it didn't run over anything or go over too far.
Like Ernest, I was, helping watch the fire and laying down some fire lines to, control where the fire was burning, and yep.
And you both are here representing Native Health and Native Hands. Can you talk about, why it was important for your organization to come here and learn how to put fire on the ground?
part of cultural burns, I guess, has a part to doing it. So it's definitely something we want to learn and be able to use to our own advantage, I guess, for like other plant life and stuff like that.
And do you think today was a success? Are you going to walk away with some new knowledge?
Definitely. Learned a lot. I didn't know it was going to be this interesting. I kind of thought it was going to be boring. I didn't know exactly what I was going to be doing, but it's definitely worth hands-on work, and I learned a lot.
And, what is the biggest thing you're going to walk away with today?
I think working with other people on something like this, that we're all wanted to do this, and it's participating in the. People understand if you tell them, if you do a low intensity, mild intensity, intentional burn, whether you call it prescribed fire or cultural fire, the thing is there's human intention going in, and people understand how that can prevent fire. But the cultural aspect is that there's a relationship with the land, the landscape, that, there's other things going on besides fighting off wildfires. There's actually wild native plants that benefit from the traditional cultural fire. And so both annuals and perennials, bulbs and annual seeds that come back very strong after a, low intensity fire like this one. So it has a lot of purposes, both for humans and wildlife, and it scales up, because if you have better acorn production, better bulb production, you have better habitat for elk and squirrels, and that adds up for people if you want to look at it from a human perspective.
And it's my understanding you're actually an ethnobotanist, so seeing this today, are you just super excited?
Yeah, and it's always a momentum, and it's about building it, because this is something that like if you learn plants, you have to learn it, see what they look like at different times of the year and different seasons. And so this is another way, looking at plants in a different way, after they've been burned and before they've been, experienced a burn. And this helps eliminate some of the non-native invasive annual grasses that are a big cause for wildfires in California and in the, West, here in North America. So as far as botany goes, that kind of has some perspective on it.
Anything else you guys want folks to know?
Not really.
Awesome, thank you.